I started working with guys and working and putting on filters for them, for their needs, for their requirements, and for their survival in living in today's world. I was dealing with a kid that came to visit me with his father. And his father said to me, "Can you filter his phone?" So I, of course, I sat with him and he explained to me what he wanted. And afterwards, his father says to him, "Son, go test it out." That means he caught him red-handed with the phone. He started crying hysterical. And I said to the kid, "Why are you crying?" He looked at his father and he said, "I'm sorry. You caught me red-handed. I'm sorry that I embarrassed you. And I'm sorry I put you through all this trouble." I looked at him and I said, "You're the strongest kid I ever met in my whole entire life." And he looked at me, "Why?" "I watch porn. My father caught me and I'm here right now." I said, "I don't know how many kids that would get caught by their father and still have a normal kind of a relationship with their father. Am I wrong? Okay. Number two is to come hand in hand with your father into a place to get yourself filtered is unbelievable. I said that strength of you going together with your father or your mother into such a place is unbelievable. And you should take that strength forever and ever. What I'm trying to say is it's a normal issue. It's a filter that, a device is a loaded gun. A device is something that you could do a lot of good things with. You could pay bills, watch sports, news. But the end of the day is there's also a lot of things that are dangerous about it. There are things that you could take a car and drive it to the wrong place. You could take your phone and take it to the wrong place. So you can't say a phone is usher. You can't say a car is usher. You can't say a phone is bad. You have to say it's good. But you have to learn how to use it in the correct manner. I was dealing with a mother, of course, in Lakewood. I'm not trying to hit on Lakewood, but a lot of my good stories come from Lakewood. A lady comes in with her mother, with her 12th grade daughter, and says, I give a gift to all my 12th grade girls that when they graduate high school, they get a filter device. So I look at the phone, and it has Snapchat, Instagram, Telegram, WhatsApp, eBay, Twitter, you name it, it's there. So I look at the mother and I said to the mother, "Do you know what an app is? Forget about this app. Do you know what an app is?" She looked at me like I was just came up out of Mars. I said to her, "How dare you talk to your daughter and give your daughter something, that sock for your daughter, if you have no idea what an app is?" I turned to the daughter, I said, "Educate me. I'm naive, I'm an old man, I don't know these things. But educate me. What's wrong? Tell me what's wrong with the 5 apps that I just mentioned." And she went one by one and explained to me why they're all bad. Then she looks at me and she goes, "Rabbi, you're an idiot." I said, "Thank you. I'm not a rabbi, but thank you." I said, "Why?" "Because you screamed that WhatsApp is Asur Deraisa." I said, "Okay. We Beis Yaakov girls, we listen to Das Torah. We only use Telegram." So, I'm sure most guys here know what Telegram is. For me, it's pure pornography, right? It's not used for anything else. But that's where my message is. My message is, Chanoich lenar apidarkai. If the parents, the Rabbeim, know what's going on in the world, like it is over here in this place, then you understand what's good and what's bad. If the parents are clueless, the Rabbeim are clueless, and no idea what's happening, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. There's a lot of good things on there that you can do, like I mentioned before, and there's a lot of bad things. Of course, I'm sure you guys graduated from Fortnite and Roblox. I'm sure. I'm sorry, from PUBG. PUBG. I'll tell you a story about PUBG that will knock your socks off. You ready? A father came to me 2 weeks ago in Passaic Tag. 3 weeks ago. He says to me, "Can you filter my kid's phone?" I said, "Sure, let's do it." He's a friend of mine. And I said to him, "I don't look in apps because I don't like to see what you're doing. Chas v'shalom, everyone's a kosher boy over here. Everyone's a tzaddik." But the father, I look at the surface, which apps you guys are using. And I said to the father, I said, "How are you allowing your kid to use PUBG?" He goes to me, "What's wrong?" So, number one, it's the most, PUBG and Fortnite is
PUBG, P-U-B-G.
Okay, thank you, sweetie. It's the number 1 and 2 predator-infested app out there on smartphones. You Google it. I'm a nerd. Don't listen to me. Go look at it yourself.
What does that mean?
In English, that means, I'll explain to you in a minute. Molesters.
Like what?
But I'll explain to you how this works in a minute. So what happened? So the father says to me, "What's wrong with PUBG?" So I said to him, number one, I'm blunt. I'm very honest. Number one, you asked me that question after your kid has it. That's a problem. You don't walk into the store, into ShopRite, and look at a bag of potato chips and just let your kid buy it. You look for the kosher, the OU symbol. How do you allow your kid not to have something if you have no idea what it is? Number two, don't listen to me. Let's go to Google. Google's the man. He tells us everything. The father looks at it. He goes, "Oh my God, you can't have it." Fine. 3 days later, the kid calls me on my cell phone. I give everyone my cell phone number. I'll give it to you if you want it. The kid calls me shaking out of his pants. I'm like, "What's going on?" He goes, "I got a call just now." A call? From who? A guy calls me up and says, is your hang name, is that what it's called? Handle name, handle name. Your name in the game. Is your name whatever it is? He goes, "Yeah, I've been watching you on PUBG for the last 3 months. I see you haven't been active the last few days. I would love to meet with you and schmooze." He didn't use the word schmooze. I know the kid. I know this kid well. I know his family. I know everything. The kid was shaking out of his pants. What? Well, because there was a predator calling him up.
You have fun with the guy. You'd be like, "Yeah."
You're right, but you're how old?
17.
Okay, he's 14. Okay? Big difference. So 3 years ago, I don't believe 3 years ago you would have done it. I'm sorry.
Why do you think Rajgat is the way he is?
Rafal, I don't believe 3 years ago you would have done that. You would have been shaking. I convinced the kid was afraid to call his father, to tell his father what happened, because then he won't get anything else. I convinced him, if you tell your father, then you would win your maturity of how well you communicate with your father. And you know what? The father called me up, and things are working out better for this kid. So right now, what's your name, Rabbi? I'm sorry. Tress? So he asked me what's a predator. So let me explain to you how these things work online. I know you guys are older than 15, 16, 17, but let me explain to you how it works. So when you open up a Google account, if you have an Android, you open up a Google account. And it says your first name, your last name, your address, your date of birth, a cell number, right? You don't want, because that's your email address. It's not your fake name. When you open up a Google account, it's your real name, right? And you ask for an alternative number, another second number. What happens? You give either your parents, your friends, or somebody else, right? Then you cannot buy an app on a store without having a Google account, right? Right? So you go up into any app you want, Fortnite, anything, and you put in a fake name. That name's a joke. These guys, these sickos, know your name and number from your Google account or your iCloud account, same thing, right? No, but it's secure they're secure in the device itself, but predators online, right? the way you get to the game is the same way, and they can't fight that. So basically, you give a fake name, who cares? They know everything about you. So when you go into any of these chatting apps, Snapchat, Instagram, right, and all these other things, what you're doing, right? These guys know exactly where you are, how you are, and what you're doing. So when you said before, what does predator fester mean? These guys are focused on these apps because there are young kids, young boys, young girls, teenagers who think they know everything. And I'm sure you guys all know you guys know everything. But at the end of the day is you might know everything, but you're not able to cover up every single avenue to block to make sure someone doesn't come to you. So the goal is for you is not to be, if you want to say, oh, everyone says, things are not sneers, it's pornography, it's this. My message is, I always ask when I meet guys privately, I always say to them, what is the purpose of a filter? Right? What's the purpose? So everyone says, right away, they want to try to be all clean and all professional. They say, oh, it's not sneers, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that. To me, that's not important. What is important is your safety. All of a sudden, right, yeah, right, you like that, I saw that. This guy's laughing, he goes, I did it. They finally found the guy that says it's not a problem. Do you have a job here? Okay. But what is important is your safety. So I'm sure you guys follow news, right? Right? So who followed the last Supreme Court justice that got approved by Donald Trump? Kavanaugh, right? Kavanaugh, right? You guys heard about him? Right? Rabbi, you heard of him? So you know what happened. So let me rephrase what happened. Kavanaugh was trying to get, he's a Republican by Trump. Right? The Democrats tried to say, no, he's a bad guy, because something happened with him with a girl in college 40 years ago. Right? So they brought him, this lady, in front of the whole Senate, or whatever it is, whichever in the government, and they proved that she was a liar. I don't care about what happened. But let's look at the case a little more detailed. What happened? 40 years ago, he was a teenager, just like you guys. 40 years ago, allegedly, he did something stupid. Right? And it's biting him in the you-know-what 40 years later. Whether it's true that he did it, whether it was permission, not permission, he did it, I don't care about that story. What do I care? He did something for you guys is right today, yesterday, and next week. You did something online, you made a joke, you took a picture of somebody or yourself and posted online. Then tomorrow, you're going to go to college or become a Rebbe or whatever it is, and today, everyone Googles your name for anything. For a shidduch, they Google your name. Whether it's to check out you or your parents. Okay? For a job, before you get a job, they Google your name to make sure you were never arrested or you did anything stupid. There was a governor, I think in West Virginia, like 2 weeks ago, who had in his yearbook 30 years ago, blackface, right? Right? And they're forcing him to resign.
Let him burn.
What does that mean? He did something 30, 40 years ago, and it's burning him in the face again now. What does that tell you? Now is your time. Now is the beginning of your time to learn how to use something safely. We understand. I understand, guys. I understand what's out there. I understand that, everybody wants to do certain things. But the end of the day is, realize that when you put something online, it's there forever. You can never get rid of it. Someone puts a tattoo on their arm, right? If someone puts a tattoo on their arm, you can get rid of it, but it's a lot of surgeries, and there's still some markings left on your arm afterwards, right? When you go and you post any picture online, I don't care if it's Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, texting, I can't answer you. But everything else more sophisticated than that, it does not go away. Google has probably hundreds of millions of servers. iPhone, Apple, iCloud have hundreds and thousands of servers. Snapchat, Instagram, and all these other things have hundreds of thousands of servers. What happens is that if you think you delete it from one site, it's still somewhere. So what I'm trying to get to you is, yes, you want to have a good time in life. Yes, you want to have fun. But realize that you're still in your prime years of teenagers. You're still, I don't want to sound like an old man, or, you know, I have life experience. I'm not going to say that. Don't be a fool. Don't be an idiot. Be smart. Because anything that you put online today will be there forever and ever. I was dealing with a case recently. A guy was missing in Passaic at Crown Heights. I was dealing with Scheinbrunn. And I was dealing with the parents of the person. It was a 40-year-old, as they call him, EDP. Little EDP. Right, for a cop. And what happened was, we ended up finding him in a mental institution. But the parents called me up and said, can you get him off of lawn? Delete from all the websites. So I called like 5 of them up, emailed them. Within a week, it was deleted. But she still Googled and she still found it. Why? Because it's in cached mode. If anyone knows what cached mode it means, it's offline, it's downloaded on people's servers. And you cannot get rid of that. And it's almost impossible. You can never get rid of anything you post online. And if you think you can, try it. But let's go with some of the apps, okay? Let's think about it. Let's go with Telegram, okay? How many guys use Telegram here? You don't have to be embarrassed. Who hasn't once installed it?
I used to use it.
Okay. So what's the issue with Telegram? Let's go with Telegram for a minute. What's the issue? Robert, tell me, what is the issue with Telegram?
Daesh movies.
Forget about the Daesh
Not
movie.
enough emojis.
All the Arabs on all these.
Between WhatsApp and Telegram.
Telegram is 10 times more secure. Telegram you can send bigger files.
Correct.
Both of the
That's my
same
problem.
end-to-end
As a mature adult, some people call me mature, I'm not sure. But some people call me, as an adult, as a parent, as someone trying to educate people how to use the phone correctly. Having Telegram on your phone, for me, for a teenager, is pure pornography. Pure. You could watch, nothing's rated. There's no rating service within the app. Correct or not correct? That means there's
no restrictions.
There's no restrictions. You could download any movie, any video, any show you want through the app, correct? Okay?
But it's not the only way.
Well, yeah.
I never watched porn on television.
You're right, but the problem is, no, I'll tell you why. Hold on. If you want, we can sit right over here, we can talk about this. No, but listen to me. But the problem is, this yeshiva. I've been in other yeshivas, and I've talked to a lot of parents. 90% of the parents never heard of Telegram. They heard of WhatsApp, they heard of Amazon Prime, they heard of Netflix.
Amazon Prime's terrible.
You're looking at me like I'm crazy. I was speaking about a month ago in an elementary school in the tri-state area. And I said, raise your hands, about 300-400 parents in the room. I said, raise your hands, how many of you guys heard of Telegram? 3 hands, 4 hands came up. No, it wasn't even it wasn't a yeshiva, it was more of a day school. But for every teenager knows about it. Every teenager, right? Every teenager knows about it. Correct. But what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say is, you would say,
Kids with filtered phones, right?
but that's how kids bypass systems, right? So we're not going to talk about, I know, what guys do is they swap SIMs, you know what I'm saying? The parents say you can't have it, so take a SIM from their phone, another phone, right? So they have whatever they want. That's why blocking on the service doesn't work, right? Okay. But what works is educating you what you could use, how you could use it, but be safe. Be safe. And there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot of apps. Call Amazon, for example, right? Is there anything wrong with Amazon? No. You're wrong. maybe not for, okay, I'll stop there. You could search whenever you want any type of clothing or any type of item that is ever sold in the world. So you're gonna tell me, hold on, so you're gonna tell me, hold on. So you're gonna tell me, so you're gonna tell me there's nothing wrong with Amazon, you're this extreme guy, you're this rabbi, you're gonna start talking that, that's fine. But that's where you're wrong. Because I don't care what you watch, I want you to be healthy. I want you to be healthy and function as a human being, not be depressed, not be isolated, because that's what happens when people watch pornography. Not to feel like I'm a piece of garbage. That's what happens when people what happens when they listen to pornography, right? What am I trying to say is, okay, what am I saying to you is, yes, everything is possible, but I use this word a lot, is the word trust. T-R-U-S-T. First of all, trust yourself. Be honest with yourself. Right? Don't fool yourself and say, well, there's nothing wrong with Amazon. I'm not saying it's the worst app out there. And it's like you said, if you're going to go there, then you have problems. Okay, but when you were 14 years old, that's where you went. Now you're 17 years smaller. What? Okay, but that's what it is. That's where it starts. And that's where it continues from there, okay? But if you understand what is dangerous and put yourself in the right position, then you'll be safe. I'll give you an example. I used to have LinkedIn on my phone, on my app, okay? I got rid of it on my phone. So you're gonna say to me, there's nothing wrong with LinkedIn. If you say there's something wrong with LinkedIn, that's not the reason why I got rid of it. That's not true, because you're 6 years old. It's a very big business tool. Why did I get rid of it? Because I have people that are recruiters and people that I've worked with over the years who post things on there that I don't want my kids to see.
Weird.
What? Okay. So you're going to say to me,
One day when you
I'm
start
this extreme
working,
guy?
maybe
No.
use it.
Put yourself in the right position. Put yourself in the right attitude for you to succeed. Put yourself, if you know that this app is bad for you, then why have it? Instagram, Snapchat. What's wrong with that? Everyone uses it, right?
Waste of time.
Yeah.
Besides that, what was the purpose why it was created? Correct.
Social media.
What?
Social media.
No, it was meant for dating.
Instagram?
Yes.
This is what it was made for, but that's
Yes. Go into the Apple store, go into the Play store, and look at the description.
Stuff.
What?
If it was a dating app, it would be 7 days.
What? That's not true.
That is all the dating apps.
Go check it out. Go check it out.
Oh, you ever heard of TikTok?
Okay. I'm so proud of you.
Rabbi, you ever heard of TikTok?
Yeah, oh, did I hear it? Okay, hold on. There's so many ways. There's so many. What's that one? There's Musically. Hold on. Who ever heard of Calculator?
What's that?
Who heard of Calculator over here?
Is it that thing where you type in your number and then you
Yes.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Okay, what did I tell you? There's another thing on the phone called secure folder. Right?
Yeah, I got that.
Who heard about it, right? So what am I saying? You could, if you want to fool yourself, you could fool yourself. There's so many apps out there, okay? There's so many. Click, right? You ever heard of that, right?
No.
Okay, go check it out. You missed that one. You missed that one. Come on, dude. You're falling behind. That's an old one. That's, you know what? Most rabbis that I speak to, you know what? I don't want to know because there's so many new apps coming out.
I
So,
don't have an app store, I can't check it out.
you know what? You could. Oh yeah. I can teach you how to get around it. Okay? What? What am I saying? There's so many apps out there, and there's so many ways to get around the system. But now, the question is, what are you looking for?
You think kosher phones are any better?
No.
I have a friend who got everything through Waze. He's an open phone.
No. Of course. Hold on. You want to hear? Because, hold on. He went through in-app browsing. Hold on. He went through in-app browsing. I'll tell you a story. I spoke at the yeshiva to parents. I spoke to yeshiva and parents actually here in Muncie. And I told the parents, I'm not a rabbi, there's a bunch of rabbis sitting over here, ask them, miss Ma'ariv tonight, miss your chavrusa. What should you do? Go home, go into Waze, go into settings, go with sharing networks, boom.
It doesn't work.
Next morning, every kid in that grade came in all upset. He couldn't have been now, didn't know what's going on. He's like, guys, tell me, like, did something happen? Did someone die? Who is this Meshuggah that came last night? So he goes, what happened? He hid the secret that we've been hiding from our parents for the last X amount of years. We've been all using this in-app browsing. Now my parents came home last night, and now we lost it. Who is this idiot? So he calls me up and thanks me. Okay? So, why? Because most parents don't know about in-app browsing. They don't even know what that word means. Yes, you do. When you go into
You're not very
Okay. I went into Evergreen a few months ago, and what's the coffee shop over there?
Havajab.
Do you know what rating it is for the app? It's a 17 in the Apple Store. Why? Because the in-app browser is wide open. So I went over. But you know what? If you have a real filter, right, then you can have whatever you want, but you're safe. You can have whatever you want and not be. If you want to call it exposed, okay, fine. You want to have this conversation? What's your definition of pornography? You want to have this conversation? Don't do it. Don't do it.
No.
We don't
want to hear it.
Okay, I'll tell you what my answer is. When your mom's sitting next to you.
Whoa.
Okay, is it wrong? Okay, and okay.
I wouldn't do a lot of stuff with my mom sitting next to me. It was just pornography.
Well,
I wouldn't do a lot of other stuff.
okay, but that's okay. So that it goes a lot further than just pornography. It goes with anything. If your mom or dad is sitting next to you, and you're embarrassed to show them, Tati, Abba, dude, whatever you want to call them.
Pop there.
That moment when you're embarrassed that your father or mother is sitting next to you, that's the moment that it's wrong. Whether it's pornography, whether it's gambling, whatever it is, that you don't want them to be next to you, that is wrong. I'll tell you a story that happened to me, and just so to understand who heard of Optimum IDs? Optimum. So Rabbi, you know what Optimum ID is? So let me tell you a story that happened to me. Okay, so let me tell you. So, a few years ago, Erev Tisha, guys, you gotta hear this. You gotta hear this. I got a Rebbe, a parent who happens to be a Rebbe in Passaic where I live, called me up and said to me, Yossi, one of my kids got an ID. I said, great. You have the code? Yeah, my kid gave it to me. He's in 8th grade. He's not so smart. He didn't hide the code yet. When you're 17, 18, you hide the codes for the parents. Fine. So I go online. So how does Optimum IDs work? If you have an Optimum at home, you get your name, your first name, your last name, right? So you can go log in and pay your bills. That's the purpose of the IDs. That is really why it was created. But every router has a percentage of every router from Optimum gives you the opportunity to use it as a hotspot wherever you are, right? So,
Unlimited data, baby.
correct. So what happens? So kids go, they get their illegal phone, right? They get the illegal phone.
The rebel phone.
The rebel phone, right? What happens? They get the Optimum ID, right? They're golden. They can watch whatever they want, right? So what did I do? When you go online, when you go on your iPhone or Android, when you use the the Optimum ID, you can't see any information. But if you go to Optimum.net, you see exactly who it is. So I see this lady's name from Flatbush, from Bedford Avenue.
Flatbush girl.
Bedford
It was actually a
Avenue.
lady. Not a
Bedford
guy.
Avenue is where it's at.
So I call her up. I go, excuse me, are you so-and-so? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, she's like, who are you? I'm like, oh, I'm Yossi from Passaic. So I'm like, do you know what's going on? She goes, no. I said, let me explain to you. There were about 40 kids that accessed your device the last 30 days. And they used about 72 gig worth of data. So let me educate you what that means in layman terms. If you watch a full movie,
1.5.
it's 1.2. 1.2. Maybe now with the extra graphics.
Depends on the movie.
Right. A standard movie is 1.2. So could you imagine how many movies they're watching?
Movie and a half.
And if they're watching pornography, it's a lot more than that. If you know what I mean.
I don't know what you mean.
I'll explain to you.
Speak for yourself first.
Why you demonstrate?
Dad, 5 minutes. I don't know about you, bro.
My father called me up one time and said to me, could you, my kid's a very chashuv buffer. He's learning in good yeshivas. Could you give him a phone for Beta's mom? I said, sure. On one condition, he meets me first for 5 minutes. Fine. Comes, meets me. He has to meet me for 5 minutes. And I'm not a tough guy. I believe in one thing. If you're looking to do it right. Okay? If you want to do it fully and do it right. Okay? If you're a good boy, or even a guy that's, call it bad, not bad, but...
Liquid rebel.
Right.
Tell us.
Okay?
No,
But
really
still,
not.
let's do it right.
To go for liquid.
So the kid comes in and says to me within 3 seconds, Rabbi, if you want to give me that Gentech filter, it's too strict. I don't need it. I said, okay. The restrictions, my boys know how to get around it. So I said to him, the door's over here. Make sure it doesn't hit on the way out. Have a good day.
Net Spark.
Okay? So actually, I have to put in the NetSpark on in about 6 months. Maybe more.
Hate that thing.
Oh, it's horrible. So the kid says to me, how come you're not doing it for me? I said, because you don't want it. So I'm here to help you out. Like, I'm not here to make your life miserable. But you promised my father. Fine. Have your father call me. His father calls me. And he starts crying to me. He goes, I don't understand.
He's crying.
Well, why can't you do it? I said, it's very simple. Your kid doesn't want it. I'm not here to make his life miserable. If he's willing to work with me, I'll work with him. If he's not willing to work with me, you're being fooled. You're getting hurt, not me. So he says to me, because all of a sudden, the Lakewood guilt comes back. He goes, are you ready to shoulder all the averes my kid is going to do? So I said, when your Rav or Rabbi calls me up and tells me that I should do it, I'll do it. Okay? I'm still waiting for the phone call 4 years later. Okay? Okay? But what am I trying to say is, the end of the day is, yes, there are a lot of apps out there. There's a lot of things you could do good on a phone. The question is trust. Trust yourself. And the word I use with the trust is a very powerful line. Roberts, you got to listen to this very slowly. Very slowly. T-R-U-S-T. Can you guess what it stands for?
No.
Anyone? Take responsibility and using safe technology. In order to use technology
How long did it take you to come up
you
with
like
that?
that?
That's good.
You like it?
How long did it take you to come up with that?
Listen,
How long did you work on that? Be honest.
I'll be honest, I sat with my therapist for about 3 hours. We were Googling back and forth. I'll tell you how it started. There's an organization for kids called MUST. I don't know if you guys heard of it. Mothers Unite to Stall Technology. What's the purpose? If you're in 3rd grade, right? Remember those days, years and years ago? So they started this organization, a guy, Akiva Bergman in Lawrence, said, let's start this organization for kids that when you're growing up, everyone does it, but really it's one kid. So they decided that if classes, when you're 3rd grade, 4th grade, 2nd grade, if everyone says no one's doing it in the class, then hopefully kids will not be doing things, getting devices, whatever. I realized that when a kid hits 9th grade, moms and dads are nerds. You can't, anything they say, you're not going to, you're already a mature adult, allegedly. You become more when you get a little bit older, but when you're ninth grade, 10th grade, especially when you go out of town to not stay sleeping at home every night, you become your own mature adult. So you can't use the word must anymore. And I was looking for a word that really hit home, that didn't make a difference if you were a boy or girl. It didn't make a difference if you're young and old, whether you're a parent or a child, anyone. And I came up with the word trust. And first of all is you need to trust yourself. And the second part is, and when kids do things behind parents' back, you break the relationship between you and your parents, you and your Rebbe, you and your Charusa. You're supposed to be here at 9 o'clock, you come 9:30. That's not fear to your Charusa because he's been waiting here since 9 o'clock. And if you're not here, and that's some version of stealing, right?
Life's not fair.
No, it is fear. Part of life is learning from your mistakes. Part of life is learning from when you do things right and when you do things wrong. And when you do certain things wrong, there are consequences, right? So, what I'm trying to propose to you guys, and listen, I think I'm a pretty cool guy, and I can handle all of you. What I'm trying to propose to you guys is to do something for you guys according to your way in life. Your way. Because if I do something too much, you're going to call me retarded. You're going to call me crazy. You're going to call me a Rav. You're going to call me that I don't know what I'm doing. But the goal is, what I tell guys all the time is, I want you to be able to be married more than 4 days. When you're married the 5th day, come over, we'll have a l'chaim together. Okay? Because when you're watching certain things, you can't be married. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay? And don't speak to me, speak to therapists. Okay? Speak to people that deal with guys that are married young. There's a lot of people getting married, divorced young, within a week, within 2 weeks. And therapists have told me the reason is because of this. Because of the things that are watching all the years. Okay? So what I'm saying to you is I'm willing to work with every single one of you guys here to make you happy. To make you survive in today's world. For you to survive in tomorrow's world. And for you to function as a normal human being. Because the end of the day is, you access to everything is not healthy. You can't think straight. You can't look straight. I was dealing with a guy once, and he says to me, 19 years old. A lot of you guys are 19 or around that age. I said to him, could you look at a boy or a girl, a male or female, straight in the eye and look at them as human beings? He told me no.
Sicko, psycho.
You're right. You know where that's from? You know where it's from?
Porn.
Social contact.
No. The device.
Yeah.
Watching too much of things that you shouldn't be doing. What? What was that? You're right, but that's the key. The key is not the other phone. The key is a one phone policy. Because if you get another phone, that means it was the first one wasn't done correctly. But the only way for it to work is for you. Thank you. That's why I brought him here today. I needed someone to. But if you have a second phone, that means you're fooling yourself. You're not fooling me. You're not fooling your parents. You're not fooling any yeshiva people. You're fooling yourself. Right? And deep down, like, I don't want to watch it. That's not what I'm there for. I just want Snapchat, Instagram. Have Snapchat. Have Instagram. But don't have porn.
Say it again.
He said one of the same.
He said no porn.
He said Instagram and Telegram.
What am I saying? What am I saying is learn how to use the device correctly. If it means that you want, merge all the access into more limited and more centralized locations. That means, is it better not to have these apps? 1,000%. 1,000%. Is it better not to? Is it better not to be using this and doing? I know on Instagram they have the live stream now. What's it called? Come on, guys. You guys,
Yeah,
right,
Instagram Live.
right. Instagram Live.
Rogan?
Right? What goes on in those Instagram lives? Come on.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Depends on what.
What?
Everyone just sits there staring at each other like a bunch of idiots.
Okay.
Just let the Waterbury in the lives.
Okay. So what am I saying? I'm saying is that having this type of access on you is not good for your health. Right or wrong? Am I wrong? No. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Green, he's not
Right?
wrong.
But if you have what you need, hold on. If you have what you need to survive,
Green, I gave you this t-shirt.
you know what's wrong with Instagram.
Was that right? Was that
What
right?
goes on Instagram Live? What's the Waterbury channel?
Absolutely nothing. Two idiots sit there on their screen looking like idiots, and then other idiots look at
What
them.
goes on? I mean, I don't want to say I have never been on it, so I can't tell you. But I can tell you what goes on. If I heard from a lot of kids,
I'm gonna go live with you.
send my love, you know. But what am I saying? I'm saying is that there are a lot of good apps out there, a lot of bad apps out there. You can pay bills, daven, do whatever you need to do.
Make money.
Okay, make money, right? But
Be honest,
But
you're
the
making
end,
less
but
money
the
than
end
you
of the
did
day is, a lot of these other apps take you down, and you can't function correctly. Am I wrong? Throwing this guy.
He's the wrong guy. He's the wrong guy.
Okay, what about you? What's your first name? You're Brian? Rafal. So tell me the truth. If you had a phone, okay, that did not have Telegram, Instagram,
TikTok.
TikTok,
suicide, like
click,
today.
He would commit
would you be
suicide.
able to survive in a day?
No.
What do you have on there that is so? What do you? Okay, but you need every single angle of entertainment.
Yeah.
Why? Well, let me ask you a
Just the way it
question.
is.
When you walk down the street, and you're starving, right? And there's a McDonald's on the corner, are you gonna go there? Okay, don't answer. You're gonna go to 306, right? Come on, not comparing 306 to McDonald's.
We're broke, yeah. What do you
Come on.
buy?
Straight from 306 to the bathroom.
Okay. What am I saying? You know you're not going to be doing that. Even though it's geschmack, and even though it's cool, you're not going to go there. Right? Having all these things available to you 24/7, and I'm using the word 7, you know, with the Shabbos app, you know, have Shabbos, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? What? With the Shinoy?
It's a Rabbanon, because they didn't
Right,
have
it's a Rabbanon.
smartphones back in the day. It's electrical.
You heard about
Stylus. You use
There was actually a guy that was creating an app called the Shabbos app. You heard about it?
Yeah.
You heard about it?
Keeps your phone
Rabbi,
on
you heard
the
about it? You heard about it? This guy was creating an app. He was mamash chuchum. He goes, I'm going to create an app that when you hit the letter B, let's say, it takes about a few seconds for the letter to come on. So it's a grama of a derisa, mamash chuchum. Right. Until the Rabbanim found out and put him like literally, I think the Hasidim took care of him, you know what I'm saying? But what am I saying? What am I saying? You can have a lot of good things online. You could be doing. No, nothing to do. Not only that, you can have a good time. You can watch sports. Nothing wrong with that.
Sports is stupid.
Right? What? Hold on. Halavai, you're only looking at the cheerleaders.
Come on, you're checking out the players.
Amazon.
But if I would tell you right now, give me any app besides Click, because you've never heard of it. Watch, in 3 minutes it's going to be downloaded. It's already downloaded. I guarantee you it's downloaded. Is it downloaded? Okay. Give me one app
His app store is
and
locked.
get rid of it. Get rid of one app. See how you can. No. You know what? I don't care which app it is. Get used to losing an app. To me, get rid of one app. Learn how to use your life that you're used to, and that is how you start getting used to having filter devices. Because the end of the day is the purpose of a filter in a phone is not meant for you to suffer. You've been very quiet the whole time. Very quiet. I'm not, you know.
He's from Waterbury.
Oh, he's Waterbury. My cousins did.
He's new here. He's
No, we're
shy.
not
He's
discussing
shy.
right now.
Who's your cousin?
No.
We'll talk after.
Right. The camera's going, you know what I'm saying? There's so many apps out there. I had a guy, a Rebbe one time came to me when the whole filtering restrictions, the whole world of technology started coming. He was like, I want to learn how to do this. So I put a filter on. I restricted the guy's this Rebbe's phone, and I gave him the code because he was all nervous that he couldn't function whatever he was doing. Fine. I said to him, "Here's the code on one condition. You come back in a week and I change it." Right? And a week later, he came. What was I doing? I was teaching him what it means to be losing something. I was teaching him that you can't always have whatever you want when you want it, right? You're at this yeshiva right now, right? That means you can't walk into the next yeshiva and start sitting down. They're like, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. Right? That means that, well, they do that anyhow? Oh, okay. What does that mean? That there are times in life that you're tied down to something. Okay? You get married one day. You have one wife. You don't have, hopefully it's only one wife. Okay? I know how multiple, I know. But they also do Shabbat on Pesach. We're not going to discuss that, right? But what am I saying? Guys, let's finish this up. What am I saying? What I'm saying is that in life, you can't have everything you want when you want all the time, right? You want to go from here to Israel in 20 minutes. It doesn't work. It takes a 9-hour flight. 8 hours?
9 hours? When do you get that?
10 hours?
Nigga, it's 14 hours.
Hook me up with that
What does
9-hour
that mean?
flight.
What does that mean? What does that mean? You can't be there in 10 minutes, right? It will take you time to get there. That means
Give it a
there are
couple
times that you can't have whatever you want. That doesn't mean anyone's being mean. That means you have to learn how to live without certain things for a while. When you're on a plane for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, you can't play with your phone. You can't be on. No data.
That's why I have Telegram.
Oh.
No, there's Wi-Fi on the plane. There's Wi-Fi on the plane.
Not always.
Do you pay for Wi-Fi on the plane? I just go to sleep for 4 hours.
Okay, guys, listen, hear what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I guarantee you,
Get an
the
11-hour
moment
nap.
you get rid of one app, you'll get used to the world of missing something, and someone sits with you and puts on a filter for you, not for anyone else, you'll be happy. I promise you. I promise you, and I promise you, you'll be my first carbon. I'll make you happy. I'll make you happy. You look at it. You.
Rash got full advance.
Yeah. What do you guys say? Yeah?
Take your photo. Let's go. Come on.
Number one.
Let's go. Go get the envelope from under the bed and I'll delete the app. I'll delete the app right now. I don't know, problem. I'll delete the app right now. Hey, where's that phone go?
I'm going to Passaic. Follow me. It's halfway to Lakewood.
Leave me out.
Oh, it's not too long. Okay, so that's good.
That's good.
On a serious
What do
note.
you hold the face?
Hey, how long? You can talk about phones now.
Okay. Is that healthy? Is that safe?
Funniest app in the world.
Hold on. But you don't. Hold on. Let's go with that for a minute. Hold on.
Hang up if you want to.
That's not the point. These people.
Nobody's meeting
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. Hold on. Have you ever gone to Yankee Stadium? Or the check game, Johnny game?
Yeah.
Okay. Section what? Which section?
Top.
Okay, top. Because you're a Jew. I knew you were a Jew. It just confirmed.
Front row tickets.
Let me ask you a question. Picture yourself right now. Picture yourself right now at the game. Okay? There's about 400 people surrounding you in your section. You trust every single one of those people?
No. For what? With my wife? What?
With $1 million that you just won from the lottery.
Not a chance.
Okay. Those are the same people that are on these apps.
What does that have to do with $1 million I got from the lottery?
And if one of these
They can steal your identity. Because
No one wants my identity. Yeah, no one wants my identity.
You know what? They don't care about him. They care about his identity. You know when people steal people's numbers for tax reasons, for loans, all of a sudden someone also you get a letter in the mail that you owe $3 million.
How can they steal my number from college?
Because you got your information through your Google account. You forgot about that. You forgot. That was a long time ago.
I don't think you can.
What?
No.
What?
I don't think you can. I don't think you can do that.
It's an app. How did you buy it? Through your Google account. Through your Apple account.
I didn't buy it. It's a free app.
400
You're right, but you couldn't
Now
buy
you
it.
can do it.
You couldn't buy it without having an account. That means you bought it through your account. It's on your account. If you go to your iCloud and apps, it's listed there.
You shouldn't have any of that.
So,
And if it's an app that you're exclusive with whoever, you're open to. You're open. So, Rabbi, there's a website that I use a lot for education. And I'm going to tell it to the guys because it's good for you guys to know. Because, again, I'm a nerd. SmartSocial.com. I'll send you a text of it, okay? What is the, go search. It's an app, SmartSocial.com. The guy Josh Ox, who's not a Jew, he's a young guy from California, who literally goes through all the apps out there and tells you the pros and cons on an educational level, why each app is good and why each app is bad. No, SmartSocial.com. Should I think it's still smart?
That's not the word means.
What is this? Right? But what am I saying? What I'm saying to you is, let's learn how to use things safely. Let's learn how to use things correctly, and you'll be healthy in this world. Go ahead.